Lay's have finally gotten their heads out of their asses and given us kettle chips. For a company as big as Lay's to turn the wheels of corporate bureaucracy to make something as different in manufacturing process as kettle chips is an absolute nightmare. For some reason, they decided to go for the Budani Bros wafer route instead of going to kettle chips earlier. But now that they're here, I can't exactly complain. I've been excited for Lay's gourmet chips. The kettle chips market is stagnant, it's stale. There's not enough brands, and all the brands are ridiculously expensive. None of them have the economy of scale or the manufacturing techniques or the logistics which is required to make a mass produced, easy to eat item like a bag of chips at a reasonable price. So, now that Lay's have finally done it, it is definitely something to rejoice. As you see here, we have this rather nice looking bag with gold Lay's branding, gourmet branding, nice red to burgundy fade. And this is the Thai sweet chili flavor. Although the flavor isn't necessarily that important today. Because for kettle chips, the most important thing is the crunch. Getting a good crunch from a potato chip is actually very difficult, especially if it needs to be preserved for a long time. And kettle chips are notoriously difficult to make like this. That's why many companies haven't gotten into it, and that's why it took so long for Lay's to get into it themselves. Now, when I have a kettle chip, I expect a bone-shattering crunch. It should break my teeth. You should be able to hear the crunch resonate through your entire skull. Only then can I call it an adequate and satisfactory kettle chip. So without further ado, let's try this out. These new Lay's gourmet Thai sweet chili flavor. Definitely a sweet chili-ish smell. I'm feeling a bit of a hint of acidity. Something that looks like the chili lemon kind of acidity. Alright. Here we have it. A Lay's kettle chip. This should be, in theory, the best kettle chip in the market, simply because of how much effort Lay's puts into their products. It's pretty thick. I'd say it's a respectable thickness for a potato chip. Although kettle chips do tend to be much thicker than regular potato chips. Okay, so taste-wise, it's very similar to the Lay's West Indies sweet, the orange Lay's, the West Indies sweet and sour one, or whatever it is. It's very familiar with that, except the crunch is very good. I'd say this is a very good crunch. This is a very good potato chip. Now, I passed the crunch test with flying colors pretty much. There's not much else I can say about that. Taste-wise, it's a bit predictable. It's a bit familiar. I was hoping that they would give us something a bit more unique, a bit more left field, something, kind of unseen before. Really separate the gourmet from the non-gourmet. This just feels like an extra crunchy orange-colored Lay's. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. The orange Lay's isn't my favorite, but I can see why people like it. And this crunch is exquisite. But it's not necessarily very awe-inspiring. This isn't a change your life kind of chip. Like the green Lay's sweet cream and onion. That's a proper life-changing chip. It's almost everyone's favorite. It has a very good balance of flavors. That's a proper life-changing chip. This is just predictable. The crunch is great, but it's just kind of predictable, man. It says Thai sweet chili. It's a bit too sweet, not enough chili. I like it to have a bit more heat in it. Bring in some serrano, a bit more cumin, I don't know. Something with proper heat and something to give it a bit of a punch. This flavor feels kind of conservative. I feel like they weren't as confident with this flavor as I wish they would be. And the reason why I'm very salty about that is because of the price. This is a 50 rupee bag of chips. This is a 50 rupee bag of chips that tastes like a 20 rupee bag of chips. Now, no matter how you cut that, it's not gonna be my first choice. Simply because of that massive price increase. Granted, the texture is great. The bag is incredibly nice looking. But that flavor, I know I said flavor isn't important, but I wasn't expecting something this mundane. I really hope that, they give us something properly spicy, which Lay's doesn't seem to want to give us a properly spicy potato chip. Alright. So overall, I'd say taste and texture wise, I'd say it's a solid 8 out of 10. The texture is 10 out of 10. There's no question about that. But the flavor isn't bad. Now, if it was on its own, the flavor would be a 10 out of 10. Everything would be 10 out of 10. Except for the fact that it reminds me too much of the orange colored Lay's, which I feel is a big disappointment when they're trying to offer us or sell us this quote-unquote gourmet product. It should feel different. So I'd say 8 out of 10 for taste. Now price. 50 rupees is a lot for Lay's. For a bag of chips, for a bag of Lay's, 50 rupees is a lot. But it's half the price of any other kettle chip. And I think for that reason alone, despite it not having the same interesting flavors as other kettle chips, I'd say that this price is a 10 out of 10. Simply because it is the most readily affordable kettle chip in the market. Now comes, I guess, final verdict. I'd say that everyone needs to buy these. These are a good chip. Like when you go and buy chips, this is good to have every once in a while. If you really like kettle chips, you're gonna get disappointed because you'll understand what I mean by the flavor is just too predictable. But otherwise, this is a very solid potato chip, and I'd definitely buy this again. Overall, I'd rate it a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. It's a great score, of course, but I feel that Lay's has more potential in this. They have a different flavor as well. I might be trying that in the near future. But for this particular flavor, Thai sweet chili, other than its predictable flavor, it is a exquisite potato chip.